Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Pike Homestead. So today I'm going to get started on a project I think we've mentioned maybe once or twice before, about redoing our coop options for the chickens and our laying hens. So what we want to do is we want to give them a little bit more a safer caged in range. I mean, we haven't had any predation problems so far, but it's only a matter of time, especially as we're looking to kind of expand the amount of laying hens we have and grow our flock. So we want to give them a little bit more space. And to do that, we're going to move them up into the front half of the barn, which will give us a couple of benefits. Namely being it's right where the current heating system in the barn kind of outputs. There was never any ducting put in for it. It just kind of blows into the room right in the corner there. So we're going to put some ducting in eventually. I don't know if we'll get that done before winter or not, but at least we'll have them sit right next to it, and fully cage them in so that they're not running loose in the barn, which will help with keeping it clean, because the poop will be just contained to the spot where they're living. And then it will also allow us to set up kind of a fenced area kind of here on this side of the barn. So we'll fence this right off, over to the cow fences right there. And we can set up a safe closed-in run and just have it run pretty much right along the side of the barn here and give them all this open space. And the plan is to also set up kind of put up a bit of a roof cover there so that it is covered and we can open up the door in winter and they have some space to get out without being, drowned in snow. And we're planning on making it all of a height that we can walk in, because if you remember from our old coop over on the other side of the barn here, they do have a fenced in, secure run. But the problem with it is it's only a couple feet high. I can get in there if I really need to, but it's really difficult. I have to crawl through the chicken door and then you can't stand up. And so if anything's broken or if a chicken's hurt or something's stuck or anything like that, like I've had them lay an egg there last year. It's like we never, we didn't get it before it got broken and eaten by the chickens. So, so we want to have it all, of a height that's accessible to us to get into and walk around, as well as give us the option for summer like this to let them do a little bit more free ranging. As long as we're not seeing any predation or any signs of any predators close by. I mean, I did find the body of a small weasel here the other morning just out front. So the cats took care of it. It was that small. I don't know what exact breed it was. It was teeny tiny, so it was either not fully grown or it's just that small, which would be a danger for any eggs or chicks. So we got to make sure that that's all kind of locked up and secure. So I'm going to go in the barn here, and what we want to be doing, so is this half, so pretty much from this wall, this is the front wall here where we were just standing, and all the way back almost to that wall on the far side of the cattle squeeze there. We're going to set this up as a huge pen, and we're going to have nesting boxes all along here. We're going to have plenty of roost space, and then the door leading right outside to the run. We might just reuse the window for that. I don't know. I'll decide that when we get there. But we've got some stuff we got to take out, namely some of the junk in the corner here. So there's the old. It's a water heater. It's a water boiler because the barn used to be radiant heated. So we've got a bunch of old disconnected piping running right along here, along the corner of the walls up in the ceiling there, as well as there's piping through the floor, because it actually had a heated floor. This old boiler here would just heat up all the water and then it would pump it through the floors and keep the floors warm. But that system doesn't work anymore. There's several blowouts in the pipe here. We've got a furnace as well, so I don't know if the furnace was put in to replace that. It might have been, just from what I've seen of the infrastructure for the radiant heating. It might have just been put in to replace that completely. So the piping's still on the floor, but it's also, you can cut it off from the water system once we get that working, which would be fantastic. But that's something for a little later on this summer when I get some help. So yeah, we've got the heater. So if you look over my shoulder there, you see that hole right there that's kind of grated. That's where the hot air comes out. So I'd like to get some ducting attached there, go up to the ceiling, and then just have it, blowing out in here, as well as get it going and blowing directly into the back half of the barn where the goats and chickens currently are. So that's for the ducting. But anyway, I got to clean up all this junk that's piled here in the corner. We got to get the cattle squeeze out. I don't know if I'll get that done today, but I'm hoping to get started on it. And yeah, so I'm just going to start pulling crap out. We'll set up a time lapse, and we'll go from there and start getting this ready, and then we can clean and paint, and then start putting in the infrastructure to have floor to ceiling mesh on this side with a gate for access, obviously. Another interesting thing in this side of the barn is we've got these sluice gates here, like the grating in the floor. That was for cleaning out the stalls. I think originally, from what I've heard, is that originally they tried to have pigs in here. So that was part, to spray it down and just have it drain off all the waste. Problem is with that is I discovered this spring is once the water levels rise outside with the melt and the runoff, is the water gets pretty high in there. And I don't know if it exits. There's no sign of a grate or a pipe or anything. So we're gonna have to investigate that because the water in there gets pretty rank. And with all the hay and everything that we've had in here and the straw that we're putting out for the cats and just the feed hay that I've been storing in here, it gets down there and it's just kind of a mat on top of it that raised up and almost got up to the bottom of the grates here. So we got to sort out a solution for that, and it's probably just going to be a matter of putting down plywood over top of it and securing it down so that we can, sweep and clean up the hay and straw and stuff that we're going to put down for the bedding without it getting into the water system there and clogging it up. And yeah, and then I'll tackle how that works if there is a drain system or anything for it. There's no pumps or anything, so I don't think there is. I think it just kind of goes down there and it's supposed to just filter away. So I don't know if there's a drain anywhere, which we'll have to hunt down if there is. But that's another problem to worry about some other time. But anyway, we've got to cover that up, and then I'd like to have it so that we could uncover it when we need to. So if we do need to do a big scrub or anything, and spray everything down with a hose, and then we can just sluice it right in there, and that's it. But I want to have all the straw and bedding out of the way before we do that. Anyway, so yes, big plans. So it's pretty much almost this entire front half. I'm going to leave a walkway in the corner here where the hot air comes out, where the furnace grate is, just so we can access it without getting in the way of the chickens. So, we'll have this little walkway here. It's also where the thermostat and controls are. And so the chickens don't need to be there. There's, a bit of a raised walk, slightly raised, like a half-inch raised walk around the outside of the pens here. So I'll just leave that as my border for this wall, and everything else will be full up for chickens. And this will increase, their space, and especially their wall space for nesting boxes and roosts. Probably about, just by the shape of it, it will give us more roost and nesting box space, probably 2 or 3 times the amount that we've got, because we do want to ramp up our egg production here and possibly start using them to support the farm here. We're still in the planning stages for that. Anyway, I'm going to get working here. It's mostly just deadlifting right now, and then break out the tools later. I'm probably going to need to get my compressor out for the cattle squeeze, just because it is bolted into the floor and they're pretty rusty, and I'm hoping I have the right fixtures to reach the bolts and undo them. And then it's a matter of figuring out how to get it out because it's too tall for the door, so I'm probably gonna have to cut it. But I'll tackle that when I get to it. Anyway, yeah, so I'll get started here. Well, while I'm doing that, why don't you comment down below, tell us if you were going to do a bunch of egg laying chickens, what were some ideas you would have? Like, what would you like to see in your ideal like egg layer chicken coop? And maybe we'll see what we can incorporate. So give us some suggestions down below. Let's talk. Alright, so that's pretty much all the junk cleared out. I mean, I've got some sweeping up to do of some other stuff that needs to be cleaned up, but that's most of the heavy lifting for that. And I think that's probably all I'm going to do today. That boiler was heavy. I barely got it out the door. It's just outside the door for now. I'll have to either tear it apart or get some help to get rid of it. But yeah, it's a big one. So yeah, I guess next up we'll be working on the cattle squeeze here, and yeah, I'll probably break out the air tools and stuff tomorrow to start working on that. So you just hang around, and we'll pick this up tomorrow.